we're going to change it up a little bit and talk about, we've been talking about platform shift when it comes to Amazon, but how about the platform shift when it comes to technology in general? And maybe help you think about things a little bit differently and be able to use the tools at hand to enhance your business. So Steve, Melinda, Matthew, Andy, Herbert, thanks for joining. We're going to just get right into this. It is being recorded. They'll watch it on replay. So here's the good news. A lot of people, especially those born in the 2000s, were born with a smartphone in their hands. And they don't know any different about technology. They don't remember the challenges that existed before, and that's fine. That's great. That's the reason. That's a whole part of evolution. I didn't know the horse and buggy, so I have no complaints about that. But the reality is AI is really still at the floppy disk stage, and that's probably an understatement. It could even be at the reel-to-reel tape, which I'll show you a picture of here in just a second. So tonight, you're going to hear from Robin Joy and myself, and just a real quick catch up.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
I always have to say this. I work a full-time job, but he's a vice president, and we all know that executives don't actually work that much. So
you might think so, but that ain't true, man.
I'm full of you.
Not the modern VP. The modern VP is working there.
VP.
Yeah.
I see what you're going with that.
No, I lead a number of different technology teams, including teams that design and implement agentic solutions for Fortune 100, whatever companies across North America. So what I'm coming to you from the islands today is from real life. I'm actually living and implementing this today.
1900s.
Yeah. Got my MBA about a decade ago and have been rocking this world ever since. That was really something that supercharged me. I'm a little bit disappointed I waited as long as I did to do that, but it gave me a whole bunch of new energy, and I'm really excited that I did it.
Oh, I'm supposed to tell my background?
You want me to cover it for you?
Yeah.
So Robin's really good at the reframing.
Andy says executives work maybe 20 hours a week.
That's just the meetings portion of the work. Yeah. Robin, she's really good at the framing. A lot of the frameworks that we have came as a result of Robin just thinking about things from a very fundamental level through this data lens, and then finding a way to bring it into production. She's a data analyst by trade and was an IT director in her last job, so knows IT very well, has been still using and implementing that throughout our Amazon journey as well. Her undergrad in IT management, she did get a master's super quick, like in less than a year. Once she got over having sleep apnea and got recovered from her stroke, that got knocked out pretty quickly. And that was in business leadership. And we've both been in technology since 1981, but been being paid to do it since 1986. So we're not exactly new to this space. The road to get here, it looks something a little bit like this, right? From the good old days of that blinking cursor that you saw back on the first screen to that Commodore 64. My buddy up the street had one. We used to go up there and play on that all the time. He loved it. Then Robin got her first paycheck working, I don't say in IT, but she had to have these computer skills in order to get this job. And it was like pretty much OJT because there wasn't a whole heck of a lot of computer training available, formalized computer training available back then. It was a lot of figure things out in your garage back then. In 1994, Office 4.3 Professional came on 31 diskettes. Oh my gosh, it was a stack. And in 1995, I was actually an instructor at a technical college, and it used to take us one whole class just to install Microsoft Office Professional. And I was like, okay, here's one class I don't have to prepare for. 1995, have you ever heard those old squeaking phone lines, the way that sounded? And I started with a 28.8 modem. Actually started with a 14.4 modem. Those were crazy times. And we thought that we had it going on. That was high tech. And then I took a job, my first real job after teaching people how to do it. And by the way, when I was back there being a teacher, it's because there was really nobody who had the skills. So I had gone to school and I was taught by some old dog programmers. And then I was being taught by people, the faculty in the college on the other faculty about how to set up networks and stuff. And then they said, hey, you're pretty good at this. You want to teach it?
You watch one, do one, teach one.
So that's what I did. I took this job, the first real IT job that I had as basically a desk side technician in 1996. And I worked in the IT department. There were no special other special departments. It was just called the IT department. And we supported everything from the big phone switch that took up a whole room in the basement to the mainframe access that came into the DMARC room and the Windows machines that ran a stupid DOS window to run all that stuff on. It was this crazy thing. But as part of one of the benefits of being on the IT team is that I had to troubleshoot when there were cable outages. Oh, this job was with a cable company, if I didn't say that. And so we had free cable as a result of this. But then the other thing
we got to watch Holyfield fight off.
No, it was the other way around.
Yeah, get his ear bitten off by
Yeah.
Mike Tyson
Yeah.
live because we got the pay-per-view fight for free because
For
you
free.
worked it
That's
for
right.
free.
Yeah.
It was like $150 fight or something back then.
It was like $30, felt like 150, but yeah.
We're that poor.
The UFC fighting that was really new and early. I was like, oh my gosh, they're like breaking each other up. It was really extreme. And today we just watch that stuff on shorts or reels on YouTube. And anyway, cable modems came out while I was working there, and they were looking for volunteers to test it. And of course I raised my hand. So I put a cable modem inside my computer and we attached the coax to it. And we went from 56.6 dial-up modem to 1024, 1 megabyte of bandwidth. And I remember that I had this racing game. It was like a NASCAR game for the PC. And it had, you could control it with your keyboard or whatever, but then you could also buy this desk mount steering wheel. And it came with a gas and brake pedal and stuff. And I used to race this little thing, thinking I got pretty good at it. But then when I had the cable modem, you could do it with another player online. Oh my gosh. Not really. It was the most choppy experience ever, but it was a
kept getting thrown off when somebody made a phone call.
Yeah, not on the cable modem you didn't, but that was on.
Go ahead.
And then if anyone remembers the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, it was I was working in IT still in 2000. It was a really interesting time because everyone was trading stocks and the market got really inflated and then a lot of people lost money, but it had to happen, right? Both the growth and the burst, the wave and the crash. And then in 2003, just a little call out here, we also made a pretty nice chunk of money in 2003, 2004 on Google AdWords because you could really game the system with SEO. And this is one of the things that if you've been attending any of our prior sessions, we're not about gaming the system. And we learned a lesson here, right? We made upwards almost like above $50,000 in 1 year on just ad revenue. The overhead was next to nothing. And then the next year, that opportunity was gone because an algorithm changed. And when an algorithm changed, it knocked everybody out of alignment, right? Amazon comes along, Amazon FBA in 2006. And then in 2007, we get the very original iPhone. There's a picture of Steve and that super small iPhone down there, and it was glass. You could not drop it at all.
People at the law firm who would not give up that small phone because it fit in their pocket.
That's right.
They wanted a special buy.
Cell phones started out being big, and then it was like the smaller they got, the more appealing they were. And now we're back to these monster phones because you want the screen space, right? And then in 2022, we got modern AI launching. And I remember Robin Joy and I fooling around with Midjourney and other things back in the day, early ChatGPT and whatnot. And holy smokes, we've come a long way in just 4 years. And that's where we are today with AI. This is really where AI is today, right? It's a floppy disk. If you think about that image of that old school floppy says documents. In today's language, that would be document. You probably couldn't even fit one document on that disk because the size of our files have gotten so large because the constraint has changed. Today, we get terabytes of storage with our online accounts with Google or with Apple or whatever. So there's just, everything is different these days. And that floppy disk represents, I believe, where we are today. Even I think Anthropic said that this Fable model, which came back today, which is like a very similar version to Mythos, which is oh my gosh, AI is so dangerous discussion that everybody's talking about. is going to be a thing of the distant past in just 9 months. That's how fast these things are moving. So don't blink. When you think about the way things used to be versus the way they are now, I never actually worked with punch cards. My teachers did, but punch cards basically told the machine what to do. Now we build skill files that tell your agents what to do. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Back then we had these reel-to-reel tapes that were, that's why computer rooms were so big, because it took all of this space to store all this stuff and to cool it. And to get portable, it meant let's find a way to put that onto a floppy disk back then, which is what that 5.25 and ultimately that 3.5-inch diskette were. But today, portable means having all of your information digitally available and easily portable between one system and another in the cloud. It's so easy to do this these days. And then back then, you would pay an entire research department to do your R&D. Today, when you get upskilled, you train an agent to do it for you. And it literally is pennies on the dollar compared to the old days. So you have seen this play out before. You've seen this movie before, right? And when the platform shifts and the playbook doesn't, that playbook loses. And that's a lot of what we've been talking about here for the last 6 weeks or so. So the logic that we've been talking about is the same here in this session, just a bigger platform this time. Okay, Rob and Joy, over to you.
Oh, over to me.
Yeah.
Well, Brian told you a little bit about my background. So I worked for an insurance company, USAA, big insurance company. I got a job there not too long after we were married, and I didn't know much about IT. That was back when we had, if you know what dummy terminals are, right? You have this green screen and you just have a cursor and it only runs the program that they allow you from the mainframe, right? That was during that job, we actually got PCs and we got Microsoft Office loaded on our PCs. It was amazing. It was
Took
amazing.
one person an entire hour to do it by diskette.
That was after we actually had internet by that time. That was 1996. We were able to actually download it on the mainframe. We were using a license from the mainframe, so we didn't really have our own copy. But so this job came up and I went and interviewed for the job as an analyst. I was customer service entry level at the time. And the guy I talked to, he's a pretty interesting guy. And he pulls up an Excel spreadsheet. Right? And he says, so I just learned you can do this, and this is a pivot table, and here's how I do this. Can you make a pivot table? And I could tell that he just learned how to do this yesterday. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. So I get through the interview. I come home, and Brian, who has a degree in computer science, I'm like, how do you make a pivot table? He said, what's a pivot table? I've never heard of a pivot table. Just because they're good at building machines doesn't mean they're good at running spreadsheets. Okay, let's put it that way. So I had to find a tutorial and figure out how to do this myself so that I wasn't lying, because I needed to know how to do this. So that's how I got my first technical job. Okay, I did get the job. I got a pretty good bump in pay too, and so I had to make sure that I could do that. During this job, I touched someone that I did a project with. I think his name was Charles. I can't remember for sure, but I remember specifically the relationship. He was a call center manager. And he taught me about data. When I found data, my life changed. This is what has carried me through my career and helped me build my career throughout all this time. And it helps in what we do now as well. Brian and I are both kind of data geeks. We love data. We deal with it. And here's one thing that he told me. And I've never forgotten this. I said, how do you know all this stuff? How do you know so much? He said, I don't know so much. He said, all you have to know is one more thing than the guy you're talking to. And to him, you're a genius. And I've lived with that my whole life. And I've said I could do things that I didn't know how to do until I came back the next day many times, including in this business. You never know who you're talking to. And you only have to know one more thing than the next guy. All right. Let's get into AI and where that came in the last few years. Brian and I have been playing with this. Pivot tables were the new thing then. Now AI is the new thing. And I say, oh, yeah, I know how to do that. And yet, compared to what, right? All you gotta know is one more thing, and you're more advanced than you were yesterday. And that's where I am today. The magic is not in knowing everything about AI. The magic is when AI knows everything about you. That's the thing that makes the difference in our business. Once we have AI we use as advisors, soundboards, and we do this together. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a little while. But what we did was we trained our AI to know who we are, what we believe. And we teach a lot of things in our business, in our coaching, that other people don't teach. And it's not the general information, the same thing everybody does and everybody's always done. And so we have to train AI. No, that's not what we teach. That's not what we do. We're not private label sellers. We're not the old school playbook. You've got to learn what we do. And we fed him material and he's learned. We all have different things that we have access to, different ways to look at it. And we end up building something that's completely different. And there's no way that your AI tool can know what that is unless you teach them. So people talk about how AI can save all this. Let's start first. Tools. You get a tool, it does everything. It does all these things for you. Maybe you have a set of tools that do these, and so do we. But there's a point where tools that are off the shelf and are purchased by someone else, they built it out of their own business, and what works for them are not going to work for us, maybe 90% of the time. But then there's that last 10%. And that last 10%, what do you call that, Brian? The last 10%, the last mile, right? That's the part that takes the most effort. That's the part that's so unique. And it takes your effort and your effort only. And no tool is going to cover that because it doesn't cover it for the masses. That's the part that's yours, unique. And that can cost you as much in resources and time as that whole rest of that put together.
I just want Robin correct you. You said it doesn't work for 90%, but you're saying it does work for 90%.
Yes, it works for 90% of the people. That's why they made a tool and they were able to sell it. But then you've got that unique part of your business that it's not going to cover automatically. You're going to have to massage it in there, right? So what's on the next slide? What are your sources? Okay. Here's how I keep AI honest when I use AI. I have people ask me in Kickstarter all the time. I asked AI and he said this. I want you to remember when you're talking to Claude or Jim or Chad in our world, you're talking to the only way he knows anything is by going out and getting information. People have taught him things. He's really fast at going and getting information, but he can't necessarily disseminate what's good information, what's bad information. So what I do is I like to try to keep him honest, especially when I'm doing deep research on something. A lot of times I need to know where does Amazon really stand on this issue and why does it matter to me? Now we all know that Amazon often thinks that we're all private label sellers. If you're a seller, you're all private label sellers, right? And we are not private label sellers. We're arbitrage sellers, which is perfectly fine. Their materials don't speak to us usually. So sometimes I got to do some deep research to see what is the real answer here, because I don't want to give you guys bad information. So I'm going to always ask him to bring me back the sources that he used to come up with his opinion or his information that he's given me. Always tell me where you're getting that from. Always tell me if I need primary sources, always tell me if it's a primary source or not. If it's not, who said it and under what circumstances. If it's information I need about Amazon from Amazon, then I need to know where in Amazon's terms of service or BOA or BSA or whatever you have that you're getting this information. And if it is the Amazon seller forum, throw it out. So much information comes from the seller forum. And to me, that is not an authorized source. That is a conversation. That's a bunch of people complaining. That may or may not. I can't use that to say this is right or this is wrong. So I have it. Ignore. And I can give him instructions. Tell me if it's primary source or not. Tell me who said it and why, under what circumstances. And tell me if it was Amazon. Okay? So that's how I keep him honest and make him tell me the truth. If you just ask a question, you're going to get any number of other people's opinions because who knows who taught him what? Somebody taught him. Okay? Now, go back to that call center guy. And I alluded to this before. You never know who you're talking to that might just change the rest of your life in a small conversation. And I can't even remember this guy's name. But the data, the things he taught me about data have changed everything. They changed everything in my career the whole way. Let me tell you what I'm doing real quick with AI. I got to get through this. I have most recently discovered Claude Code. I know Brian's been waiting for me to try this out. My computer couldn't run it for a while, and then they've developed it. Now I can. And here's what I did. I do a lot of writing. I don't know if I do historical fiction writing as well as teaching writing. So I have 2 teams actually of editors that I built with AI. This team of editors goes through and reads all of my work, spelling, mechanical issues, spaces wrong, fonts, all that kind of thing. I have a guy who goes through and looks at flow and makes sure it makes sense and it flows properly. I have a guy that goes through and checks for accuracy. I think it's 8 or 10 agents that have a boss. So all of these agents go and do all this work, and then they feed it to another agent who checks their work because they could make a mistake. And then that agent sends it to the boss. What do you call the boss, Brian? What is that guy called?
The overlord.
The overlord.
Yeah.
And he runs all these and he reports back to me and he says, okay, here are all the things we found. And now I have a list where I can go through and say, yes, fix that. No, don't fix that. You got it wrong. Yes, fix that. That's okay with me. I know technically, and I go through, I just go test. Now, if I were to hire the people who are experts and do that kind of work, I would have to be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to have one time through, not even as much as they do, to have people, humans, doing that. Okay. And guess what? These agents, they don't get sick. They don't require vacation time. They don't require rest. They don't need a break every 4 hours. They don't need a raise. Now, you might say we pay a lot for AI, and we do, but compared to what you would pay even one of those employees, it's not even. The thing I like the best is they don't get their feelings hurt. If I say, no, go do it again. You didn't do that. Go do it again and look at this. That is nice because I don't have to worry that I have to say it in the right way or HR is going to be on my back or anything like that. And so we're going to talk about that in a little bit. One thing that I use AI for is I can, when I'm learning a new software, a new system, something that is out on, I need to use to do my thing. Instead of having to go through all of the tutorials and all of the things that it can possibly do, I say, okay, this is what I want to do with it. I take a screenshot when I get stuck and I bring it back over to Claude or ChatGPT, and they say, oh, you're on this screen. I send them a screenshot and here's what you do. It really works like a charm. It's hooked up to Canva, so I can say, here's what I'm trying to do. Help me make this image for my materials. And I also like the fact that if I'm using a tool or I'm into something new that I haven't before, I can just send them to that terms of service. He knows me. So he knows what I'm concerned with and what I'm doing here. And I can say, give me a summary, not only give me a summary, but tell me what I need to be concerned about in this situation. So all I want to leave you with here is it's not where you start. Remember where I started? I was pretending to know something. It's where starting gets you. If you don't quit, if you keep going and you keep building, the start can get you somewhere. And if you quit, that's where you stay. Okay. So there's my experience and how I use AI. Hopefully that'll be helpful and inspiring for someone else. Brian, I'll throw it back to you.
Thank you, Robin Joy. So I got a few minutes left here to cruise through a decent amount of content. So I'm going to keep it.
Sorry, I talked too much.
I wanted to provide, if any of this is new to you, some resources that are going to be approachable for you to just get started in this. I know a lot of people are intimidated by AI. Some people are anti-AI. Some people don't have the time to get into it. And I can appreciate that. So here's the landscape of AI. And there are basically 5 main pillars that I believe we have here, which are conversation and reasoning. You get this with all the 3 models that Robin Joy was already talking about. You can do a lot of great stuff just back and forth. This is your traditional chatbot. Then you've got deep research functionality, and all 3 tools have a deep research functionality. I would say Gemini's deep research was very good in the early days, better than everybody else's. Today, it is pretty good. It's still good. You know what works even better is ask Claude to generate your deep research prompt, give it to Gemini. Gemini makes it, come back and have Claude evaluate it, then get the same deep research prompt from ChatGPT and evaluate that. And then you can coalesce this data together, fact check it, and you've got really good actionable information. Tangible, trustworthy. Images and creative, that seems like maybe it's been a while, but Nano Banana created a lot of stir with the images. But I'm going to turn you on to Notebook LM if you don't already know how to use it. That makes some great infographics and other audio materials that can really help you a ton.
Free.
The code and building is what you have access to with most of the models at the free tier as well. Now, you can't necessarily do a ton, so it's more your opportunity to do a proof of concept, but you can absolutely do proof of concept with any of these tools when it comes to code. And by the way, this is no code. Okay. You don't actually code, you talk and the computer codes. So you can start for free on all of these programs and then upgrade when you hit the wall. For instance, we had the free tier of Claude for a long time. We did pay for ChatGPT, $20 a month. And then we upgraded our ChatGPT to Teams. And we're at $60 a user a month right now. Then we ended up upgrading Claude to Claude Pro or whatever. And then we upgraded to Claude Max. And then we maxed out Claude Max. And so we had to go Claude Max 20. And we've been lucky we haven't maxed out that yet. Oh, we also have Gemini, which is part of our Google Workspace because we host our email there for our domain name. And we get access to a ton of tools there. And I do have limits there. Even with that, it's basically $19 a month or something like that per user for each Robin Joy app. And that is, I can do 20 deep research projects a day with that. And I have never run out of making images like that. I'm not saying that you wouldn't, but it's quite possible that you can use a lot of the very low cost paid tiers to make this happen. And our AI stack bill is higher than my first car payment, but it is far less than what we were paying.
It's not higher than his current car payment, I'll tell you that.
When you think about it, what we pay a VA to do stuff for us, this whole stack costs less than that. And I get way more productivity. No slap in the face to the human there. They're doing their best work. But this is, as Robin pointed out, very low cost, and they don't get insulted when I tell them to go back and do it again. So here's a quick way. Treat AI itself as your learning and build partner. Okay. You can learn by doing the real thing, and AI will walk you through it. So here's some suggestions for you. Start with your vision, not the task. A lot of people struggle with, I don't even know what I would use AI for. What is some end goal that you have in mind? That's the number one thing I would use it for, and start with the end goal. Okay. Your vision of what you would like. And it works backwards from that typically. Absolutely think out loud. And I highly recommend enabling voice mode on whichever platform you are on. And maybe it feels a little uncomfortable to hear yourself talking out loud to a computer at first, but you get used to it. And trust me, the context of even your mouth vomit, sorry, is so much better for them than you trying to type it out and you're editing yourself as you go. It's not the most efficient way to do it. Now I've even gotten to where I downloaded Whisperflow on my iPhone and I don't type messages there anymore either. I hit the keyboard and I speak my message and it automatically formats it in my whatever. And I'm not, because you know how stupid autocorrect and all that stuff, that stinks. The Whisperflow is an awesome way to do it. Let your AI draft it first, and then you can respond and make corrections. This is easy. You do not have to solve the problem. You just have to have the problem. And then push back. As Robin said, show me your sources. If you're actually getting something that's a data pull or you need to validate data or whatever, make sure that you're getting accurate sources and have them push back on you too. Sometimes it gets a little annoying. Sometimes I think Claude's being a jerk because he's, I'm going to push back on you on this, but you know what? It's what I asked for. And most of the time it's legit and fair. And then make sure you capture a handoff document before you end your session, because there's nothing worse than spending all this time iterating and getting to a point, and then you can always get back to the conversation. So it's not as important as it used to be, but it's super helpful to save a handoff file because you can take that to it's portable to any other AI as well. And then copy and paste the exact content, as Robin said, and talk instead of type, as I pointed out a minute ago. What are you going to get back? Okay. No technical background required whatsoever. If you've ever thought, I don't even know how to ask AI how to do that, ask AI how to do that.
Seriously, my first conversations were, what would I use you for?
You actually learn by doing some real projects instead of watching lessons. It's like I always tell people in this Amazon business that your biggest progress on the learning curve happens after you have inventory in the system. And it's the same thing here. You got to get some things working, and pretty soon you'll be over that fear and you'll be like an AI assistant or an AI agent stack, as Robin described, will be a part of your life. That capability ceiling is way farther ahead than you are. Trust me, I feel like I'm falling behind every day, and we use it more than anyone I know. So there are a lot of myths out there. Okay. It's not safe. Let's talk about that for a second. It's not safe is one that I don't believe, but I think it is one that holds people up a lot, right? So why is it not safe? Because it might have access to your information, and because it can go rogue and do things on your computer or whatever. And that's actually a concern, but everything comes to you with safeguards. And it's not that it's not safe unless you knowingly or ask for those safeguards to be taken down. So all the models have an option for you to do that. But I suggest, and so do all they'll give you the warnings, that you make sure that you know exactly how that's working before you take the guardrail down, so that you don't have to answer, yes, allow that to happen every 15 seconds, right? But you need to know how it's working, kind of get an eye for that before you say, okay, don't ask me about this anymore. Another myth is it's too late for me. Trust me, there is this graphic, but you know, those big squares with all the little dots in it that goes all the different years, or all the years of that the earth has been around. And then it's like humans have existed for just this one dot in the time span that the earth has been around. It's just like that with AI too. Trust me. It's 1.5 dots that are filled in with people who are geeky, like Robin Joy and I, with this stuff. And the whole rest, like 99.9 something % of people, have no clue about this. So the sooner you start, it's like Jim always says, the best time to start an Amazon business in 2006 or today. So today, remember, we're at the floppy disk standpoint. People think it makes me lazy and it's going to replace my thinking. I don't believe that for 1 second, because do you think that having a VA If an actual VA helping you in your business is making you dumb, you have to train that VA. You have to know about it in order to train that VA. And AI is exactly the same way, because if you take it right out of the box, it's going to be wrong, or it's going to be teaching the old playbook, or it's going to be gathering what's our favorite one? Common knowledge. What is that, Robin? Somebody asked us about.
The conventional wisdom.
Conventional wisdom, right? Trust me, conventional wisdom is not where you want to be paying attention to right now in today's modern age. Conventional wisdom is not, you want to question everything when it comes to conventional wisdom. So it's not going to replace your thinking. It's going to make you more of a critical thinker, is what we believe. And then what if it goes down? Oh my gosh. Theirs goes down temporarily. That happens frequently. Trust me, there are outages and deprecations on these models all the time because they're in growth mode. Things don't always go smoothly when they're in growth mode. So what do? What happens when we're heavy Claude users and Claude goes down? Then we go do some other oddball tasks that we've been putting off. Go do some deep research, go do some image generation, go write an article, do something that doesn't require Claude. But the more, I don't know, impactful version of if it goes down, what if the internet, we could get into this apocalyptic world? I think Robin had the best answer to that, which is we will live for millions of years without it. Pretty sure we'll figure it out again, right? And we'll be fine. We can go back to fire and cave if we had to. We'll be fine. All right.
The entrepreneurs will be okay. We're resilient.
Yep. So I have resources for you. You can find some light framework on some courses for Claude, for ChatGPT, and Gemini. Just scan this QR code or go to that link right there. One of the things that is going to be amazing to you, if you haven't already figured it out, is Notebook LM. And then there's some intro to code and other building tools there as well. And we will keep this current as the tools change, because trust me, they're changing all of the time. So I encourage you to go deeper, and this is the place where you can get resources for everything that we've talked about tonight. So great, Brian and Robin, this is awesome. But what does this mean for my Amazon business? That's what this whole conversation has been about. So when you need some help with your sourcing, deep research is your friend. One of the ways I like to use it is to show me where I am approved in this brand, which stores that I trust tend to carry this brand. Where can I go to find this product? Deep research will bring you back and paint a whole landscape for you. If anyone is in the Modern Builders stack or the Modern Builders network, that My Trusted Sources document with the 5 deep dive landscapes in the areas that most new sellers are approved in, that landscapes research came from the deep research models that I'm talking about tonight. You can also find sales that might be going on. I'm buying an item and I'm like, I know there's a coupon code out there somewhere, right? Claude Cowork can take control of your browser, do some digging around, and just keep trying the codes until it finds one that works. And then all of a sudden, you've got a 20, 30, 40% off coupon that you didn't know existed before. You can vet your sources against your own standards, like the My Trusted Sources document. Build your own systems. You can build your own sourcing system. You are not constrained by anybody or any system for this. You can build your own vetting system. You can build your own tracking system. You can build your own repricing system. You can build your own on-page calculator. We built Path Profit Zones exactly in this way. And one of the things that we're proud of is that homogenization that tends to exist when you buy an app from the App Store. We have it set up so that it is built on some very fundamental frameworks that is completely customizable by you. So it's not, this is the way we do it, so this is the way our tool's built. These are the frameworks that we use, and here's your ability to customize that however that you would like. So we do need some common ground when it comes to the frameworks, but the rest that's configurable by you. And here's a little tip. We built our own system to plug into the Amazon SP API program. It does my lead vault. It does my pricing. It shows me all my products on the map, which if you're a Path Profit Zones user, hopefully you got a teaser on that today. That's coming soon, this weekend, in fact. Oh, I'm constantly scanning other stores. So my seller sweep is automated. It's an automated process. I don't even have to do that anymore myself. It happens. I wake up in the morning and I've got all these new brands that I'm approved for and new ASINs that I need to go find sources for. So then you run your world with agents and not VAs. But an agent is just like a VA. You have to teach it, or you're going to tell it, you're going to ask it to scale up what you already don't know, which is not a plan, right? You don't want to scale chaos. Just if any of you've got VAs and you're like, we tell you, don't trust any VA who says they're trained on how to source Amazon. You train them yourself. Because them telling you they know how to source Amazon is just like you trusting AI. And you can't trust AI any more than you can trust that person who knows what they're doing, or anyone that you're seeing speak on a YouTube or a webinar, including us. We make mistakes. Other people make mistakes. AI makes mistakes. Okay. Your agents are.
Well, you make mistakes.
Yeah, agents are going to make mistakes too. Everything here requires a quality assurance. Now, Robin touched on this, but somebody else's tool is never going to be a perfect fit for you. Okay. It gets watered down to fit everybody. And so that personal touch that made it so powerful for the original user, that's been sanded off so that it could be sold and appealing to the mass market. But what's left, as Robin said, works for 90% of the people, but it really doesn't get you 100% of the way for anybody. Or if they don't do that, it is exactly somebody else's system, right? And the personal touches are not your personal, they're somebody else's personal. So why not make it your own? That's my challenge to you here, but start small. I don't expect you to go build your own sourcing system tomorrow. As Robin said, the magic of AI is not when it knows the world, it's when it knows you. Because when it knows you, it knows how you learn, it knows how to talk to you, it knows how to feed you information so that you absorb it in the best way possible. And if there's one thing I want you to do tonight is take this presentation and go over to Notebook LM, which you can find the link for at officialolsons.com/AI, and ask it to make an infographic. Okay, and bring it back with you to the next session. We're going to do a little bit more deep dive on AI and how it applies to your Amazon business the next time. Keep reading the Olson Report on Substack, where we're doing more and more of this. Now, for those diehards who managed to stick around through all the jibber jabber, we will take your Q&A if you have any. Sorry.
Okay, let's go down the line here. Early on, Herbert said along the way, had devices that now are collecting dust like Palm Pilots. Okay, he's one that understands where we're coming from back in the day when we had the VIC-20. I had a Commodore 64 back then, and I had to go take a night class to figure out how to code BASIC so that I could just run the computer. Right? All you get was the cursor, right?
Yep.
Right.
Hey, by the way, Herbert, I had this thing called a iPack because I got a job at Compaq in 1999 when it was still Compaq before it got at HP. And they had an employee purchase program, and they had what was like a BlackBerry wannabe with a little stylus and everything. It was like the very early version of a iPad, whatever. They called it the iPack.
We thought that thing was so cool.
Charging dock and everything. Yeah, that was fun.
Sounds like Herbert knows what we're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jana.
Yeah. Oh, I think she might be talking about my editors. They're the A team. They're my A team.
Oh, yeah. That's one of those guys who was born with an
Matt,
iPhone.
you need to shut up. He's like Floppy, what?
Yeah.
Okay, so Matt, we're all jealous of you.
That's right. Yes, I am a VP, but that's okay. I still do real work. Herbert, I watched a video on how to create an agent in Claude to submit an ungating application to Amazon capable of creating multiple submission versions if wanted. Absolutely. Here's the only thing you got to be careful with that is make sure it's not manipulating your document. A lot of times what the conventional wisdom is to keep using the same case over and over, but you may have better results opening up a new case. Then again, you might get scolded by Amazon for opening up multiple cases for the same issue. The point is you keep knocking on the door until somebody answers and lets you in, especially if it's legit. We're all the questions and we have 3 minutes left barely, and which is good. I'm back to back tonight. So Robin was back to back coming into this session, and I have to go grab a session here in just a couple minutes.
We got a question here.
Yeah.
Matt wants to know, what percentage of my focus would you say to put into AI versus just trying to grow my business right now? I still feel like a clueless newbie with Amazon.
This is good. What would you say, Robin?
I would say don't get distracted. If you have a specific use case, like you're trying to use a new tool or something, like I said, and you need the help from AI and you want to send it a screenshot to keep you going, yes. But to stop and learn how to build agents and things like that, then maybe one thing at a time.
I would say I don't mind carving out a little bit of time, but I would be careful that it doesn't become a distraction. And if
You know how addicted you can get.
yeah, the time that you already know this is not Amazon time, I set aside my Amazon time, and you can carve out a little bit more time to do that. I know you've got family obligations, but if you can find an hour or two a week, I think that's going to be a good place to get started with a.
Just be aware and be talking about it and knowing about it. Yeah, it's going to become part of a regular thing.
You're going to be a clueless newbie for a while on Amazon. That's just kind of the way it goes. You're going to get your IP complaints. You're going to get locked out of a brand. You're going to have to pivot, and then you won't be a clueless newbie anymore. Then you'll be.
Are there questions I could ask AI when deciding on an ASIN to test?
This is tricky because, as Robin said, the conventional wisdom, it doesn't understand testing ASINs. It doesn't understand. It thinks it always is about go find a lower price for that item. And we always treat it as the price is the price. The lower price will send you on a wild goose chase. Ask me how I know. It was a multi-week, I'm going to all of a sudden buy a container's worth of stuff from China. And that was a bunch of wasted time. So you have to be very prescriptive, I would say, when you're using AI to help you with that.
Thank you. I just want AI to cook my supper and do my housework. So do I, Melinda.
Hey,
are we there yet?
Optimus Prime is coming soon. The robot that will be in your house.
Not soon enough.
Yeah, because okay, I gotta go. Right. Thanks, everybody.
Back next time, we'll tell you some of the stories about how we fight with them.
All right, bye.